The April 26th meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello. Here. Mr. Baroth. Here. Dr. Carbone. Here. Mr. Delahanty. Here. Chairwoman Draw.
Here.
Mr. Felder. Here. Mr. Hebert. Here. Mr. Marionetti. Here. Mr. Morelli. Here. Mr. Moyo. Here. Mr. Rocco.
Here. Oh, here. Are there any speakers signed up tonight for the public forum?
There's not.
There is not. And I forgot, I did want to do that. And so will Legislator Carbone please stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry about that. And there are no speakers signed up for public forum?
Correct.
Is there anyone here tonight that would like to address the committee at this time? Seeing none, I would just like to recognize a former legislator and now Councilman Tucciarello, who's here tonight. Welcome back to the chambers. You're welcome. Have a nice. Thank you for coming. The next meeting, on your agenda is the approval of minutes. You have before you the March 22nd meeting in your folder. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of today. Next item is new business.
Referral 16-0134.
Move it Legislator Hebert and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the administration, what is the total cost of the Victim Assistance Program Model Office annually?
Through the chair, Jennifer Curley from the Sheriff's Office. It's approximately a little under $200,000. I don't have those figures with me because that's a separate grant.
Fair enough. And thank you. Through the chair of the administration, just so I'm clear, I realize that this is a new grant to provide equipment for the priorly funded grant. I guess my question is there a single location for the model office or multiple locations, or is mobile? Could you describe for me how the office actually is set up, if it's actually a physical one or not?
Through the chair, yes, there is physical offices, but there's 3 of them. Each zone has a victim assistant counselor. So one's at A zone, which is Linden Ave, B zone, which is Summit Park Point and Henrietta, and C zone, which is Union in Ogden.
Thank you. And then finally, through the chair of the administration, the tablets and the printer and such being purchased by this grant, are they going to be serving all 3 zones, or is it located or 1 or 2 of the zones?
Through the chair, they did allow 3 tablets. However, they only allowed 1 printer. So we have to decide what we're going to do with that.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0135.
Moved by Legislator Carbone and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, for this grant funding, how much of the funds are going to go towards equipment versus overtime costs?
Through the chair, John Clark from the Crime Lab. Approximately $2,200 will be used for overtime. The majority of this funding will go towards probability genotyping software and training, which is approximately $40,000.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, of the remaining funds, which will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,000 or so, would those funds be for travel or something else along those lines?
Through the chair, the remainder of the funds are going to go for software improvements of our laboratory information management system to add custom reports and for internal validations of some of our methods.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carried. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0136.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Baroth.
Through the chair of the administration, I had a couple questions here, and I wanted to ask, I know that this is a local law. It was considered in the agenda charter because it was in excess of 10 years. My question for the administration is, while that explanation was being given, it was mentioned that it was also a negotiated agreement. Does the fact that this is a negotiated agreement make any difference whatsoever in whether or not it has to be a local law? Through the chair.
Through the chair, no. The fact that it's a local law is simply based on the term of the lease.
Thank you. That was my initial understanding as well. Thank you so much. And then through the chair of the administration, could someone describe for me what the common area charges are for this particular contract?
Through the chair, the common area charges would be snow removal, lawn maintenance, property taxes, HVAC maintenance, beyond, standard maintenance.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, do you have an estimate or an actual amount for each of those sort of charges?
We have estimates from the landlord, yes.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, would it be possible for you to share those estimates with the legislators?
Through the chair, sure.
Thank you. And then finally, through the chair of the administration, does anyone else aside from us be paying for these common area charges?
Through the chair, as the development is built out, yes. I mean, because there will be 5 total buildings in the development, as it's built out. So all of the snow plowing charges and, lawn maintenance and that would be shared.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, I ask because this is going to be a, what was the phrase, an emergency operations site. And my question then is, who are our neighbors or our sharers of the space be moving forward through the chair?
Through the chair, no one's going to share the space itself because of the fact that the building will be standalone. There will be no one else in the building. That's, part of the reason for, choosing this location.
Thank you. But then just so I'm clear, through the chair of the administration, but the complex itself, separate from the building that the building sits upon, we will have neighbors within that complex, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And we're comfortable with the fact that you can have an emergency operations site sharing those space, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Legislator Hebert.
Administration, what's the going rate for similar buildings in this area, similar square footage?
Well, through the chair, I mean, that's a difficult question to answer because this is not a typical office building. You have to remember that this is a sheriff's substation with specialized build-outs for the sheriff's departments, including holding cells and interview rooms and specialized build-outs. Other office space in the area is in the $14 to $18 a square foot.
Thank you. That's an excellent answer.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0137.
Moved by Legislator Rocco and seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the administration, I do have a quick question regarding the review that NYSERDA did on the original application. Is this a typical process that NYSERDA reviews applications and perhaps raises or lowers funds available? Through the chair.
Through the chair, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. The referral talked about how NYSERDA reviewed the original funding request or the grant gift and determined that, in fact, we were eligible for additional funding, about $84,000 or so. And my question is, does NYSERDA typically review past grant awards and then revise them moving forward through the chair?
Through the chair, the original request of the legislature that was previously approved was based on an estimate from NYSERDA, not an actual full review of our application. So the application review was completed, and we were informed on January 21st of 2016 after the initial authorization based on their estimate. So this is the first formal review and first formal confirmation of the total incentive award, and it is in the amount of $284,177, which obviously exceeded their original estimate.
Thank you. And finally, through the chair of the administration, during the process of going from an estimate to an actual formal number, did the county provide additional or anyone provide additional information to NYSERDA to make this more precise, more factual number?
Through the chair, no, not to my knowledge. This is based on the original application that was submitted.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0138.
Moved by legislator Ansello and seconded by legislator Marionetti. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chairwoman, to the administration, who will be paying for the installation of this signal?
Through you, Madam Chairwoman, the signal exists. We're just getting they're just signing giving us the easement to go in and maintain the traffic signal loops.
Oh, so the signal itself's already been installed.
Through the chair, that is correct, and was installed by the developer.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other discussion? Legislator Brock?
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, just so I'm clear, now I'm confused. Where is this light located exactly?
Through the chair, it's the traffic signal on Clinton between Westfall and Elmwood for Loman's Plaza, where
Okay,
Tops
so
is.
At Tops Plaza then?
Correct.
Thank you. I had estimated where 1900 was. My apologies.
Right, that's fine. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0139.
Moved by legislator Marionetti and seconded by legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I would like some clarification on a phrase in here. And it says, I'll quote, locations, if not recently studied for some other purpose, are analyzed, and it goes off. And goes on further. And the reason I ask is because quite a few neighborhoods and individuals request a number of studies on streets for traffic patterns or wear and tear and things along those lines. And I want to make sure that no one's actually doing themselves harm in terms of getting themselves off this potential list for analysis. So the question is there any possibility of these accident patterns not being appropriately studied or researched based upon citizen input or citizen requests for other studies? If you understand my question through the chair.
Through the chair, I think so. If something came up on our list that identified possibly a need to look at that, we may not look at a particular location because it was recently looked at because of a study that was requested by a citizen, or that we might have done in-house for some reason, or requested by a legislator. So we just pare the list down if we've already looked at it recently.
Thank you. Just so I'm 100% clear through the chair, if you looked at it for things along the exact lines of traffic accidents and things like that. So you analyze the appropriate data, correct?
Through the chair, correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0140.
Moved by legislator Hebert and seconded by legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Through you to the administration, the $90,000 grant, is that entire $90,000 from the Genesee Transportation Council, or is that a combination of the 90% that they were funding and 10% from the county?
Through the chair, the $90,000 is the grant. They will pay 90% of the amount. So they'll pay up to $90,000, which is 90% of the contract.
But the contract in its entirety is $104,000, right? So my understanding, if they're giving $90,000, we then throw in an additional 10%, that brings us to $9,000. There's still now then an additional almost $5,800 that's not being accounted for.
Through the chair, that would be, unless we went back and asked for additional dollars, that would be the county's share. We would pay the $14,795.
Right.
If
but
that's what it came out to be. It could come out less, as I say before.
Oh, so the through you, Madam Chair, the 104,000 is just an estimate?
Well, through the chair, it's their proposal based on the number of hours they feel they'll need to do certain tasks, and it's a cost plus fixed fee proposal that we get. If we modify the work that they need to do, it could end up coming out lower than that.
Okay. Through you, through the chairwoman to the administration. So let's say that it does come out to be the 104,000. Shouldn't we now be accommodating or anticipating the $5,800?
Well, through the chair, we are anticipating that we have a capital fund that will cover that amount, and then we're accepting $90,000 in a grant.
Okay.
We have the amount to pay the full 104,000, and then we get a reimbursement up to the 90,000.
Right, but through you to through the chair to the administration, this says no additional net county support is required. But you're telling me that it is if there's another 5,800 that we're not really anticipating. Even if we go under the assumption that 90% is coming from GTC and 10% comes from Monroe County, how is it then that there's then no net county support? We're gonna have to kick in another $5,800.
Through the chair, maybe I'm not being clear. In the capital budget and in the capital program, the $14,795 are accounted for.
I see. So it's not that it needs. So, in other words, the statement of no additional net county support is the understanding that it's already been included in the budget.
Through the chair, correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next items, please.
Referral 16-0141.
Moved by Legislator Carbone and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Through you to the administration, why is it that this particular project or this area is being rehabbed? Is there some structural damage to it?
Through the chair, every 4 years, my staff goes out and looks at all the bridges that we have under our jurisdiction, as well as the major culverts, which this is one of them, as well as the next one. And we give it a score and a rating, and then prioritize those based on something needs to be done in terms of more than just maintenance, and it needs some rehabilitation, whether it be, or replacement, whether it be total replacement or possibly a relining of a culvert, or major work. And that's where we've identified that this particular culvert scored a rating of 3 on a 1 to 5, I believe it is.
1 being the highest.
One being the worst.
1 being the worst.
And
okay.
we don't have any that are, 3 is the lowest that we have any of our culverts.
Okay, so through the chair, this is then just standard maintenance. In terms of, let me rephrase that. Not standard maintenance. This is standard policy within the department to make sure that everything is being taken care of correctly.
It's through the chair, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0142.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty and seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0143.
Moved by Legislator Rocco and seconded by Legislator Ansello. Legislator Morrow. I'm sorry. Moyle. I'm sorry. I'm looking at you. Apologize. Legislator Morrow.
It's Moyo, yes.
Moyle. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Through the chair and to the administration, I walked in halfway through the human services, so forgive me if there's duplicative questioning. So through the chair and to the administration, how often are Monroe County facilities full such that children need to be sent to another county?
Through the chair, I'm Amy Natale. I'm the Director of Child and Family Services. In 2015, we needed to use 811 days of out-of-county beds for non-secure detained PINS youth. For 2016 through March, so far we've used 106 days.
Thank you. And through the chair and to the administration, you indicated a number of bed days. I believe you used that term. How many individuals would that comprise?
Through the chair, I'd have to research that information.
Would you be willing to supply that to us, please, through the chair?
Through the chair, yes.
Thank you. The facility that we're contracting with in Ontario County, how many beds are in that facility or facilities, through the chair?
Through the chair, I'm not aware of how many beds total there are at Hopewell. We are contracting for 3 beds. I could get that information as well.
Oh, okay. So we're contracting for 3 beds, but out of a number that you don't have right now?
Yes.
Through the chair. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Legislator Felder?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the administration. In light of the fact that the state is seems towards raising the age of when they allow minors to be treated as adults. Is there a long-term plan to deal with this here in the county locally to create more space here for the inmates? I hate to use that word for children, but is there a long-term plan to say we're going to create more space here, open another facility, whatever, expand something? Is there?
Through the chair, the legislation has not been finalized. The proposals within what's being talked about for legislation is actually looking to end the use of non-secure detention for PINS youth, so there wouldn't be a need to accommodate an increase in that population.
So through the chair, so that we will still be sending children to Ontario County? Because I asked because of the fact that because of economic reasons for parents, some cases to get out for business and things, it can create a hardship. I mean, the facility we have in Russia is far enough away, so I'm just kind of curious.
Through the chair, the facility in Rush houses JD youth, not PINS youth. We are looking to contract for non-secure beds for PINS youth.
That's the question under this referral, Legislator Felder.
This is the PINS?
The PINS.
Okay.
Under this referral that we're looking at right now. Is that any other discussion? Legislator Hebert?
Through the chair to the administration, what's the length of time an individual child might be at this out-of-county facility?
Through the chair, the length of time is dependent upon the family court judge who has remanded that youth. It could be as short as an overnight stay. It could be as long as several weeks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Baroth?
Chair, you stated earlier that you're looking towards the future to not actually have non-secured housing for PINS children. Is that correct, through the chair?
Through the chair, the proposed legislation is discussing that issue.
Fair enough. Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, then, if the proposed legislation is discussing not having non-secured housing for these children anymore, what is the proposed legislation thinking to replace it with?
Legislator Baroth, I don't think this is part of this referral. We're really dealing with just this one. I mean, they can speculate, that it would be speculation. We're talking about under this referral right now.
Well, yes, ma'am, but with respect, the administration brought it up as a rationale for why this contract was actually a good thing. And so I just want to understand, are we moving away from these contracts in general or not? Because we are talking about $250 per bed per day.
Correct.
So I just wanted the administration to clarify its answer.
Through you, Madam Chairwoman, I believe that the clarification was a result of a question that Legislator Felder asked with regards to the impact of this if raise the age were to go into effect, and we provided an answer with respect to that. And we did not offer that as a justification in any way to support this particular legislation.
Thank you.
Well, just with respect, of course, again, but you brought it up.
Through you, Madam Chairwoman, it was an answer in respect to what Legislator Felder was asking.
So, through the chair of the administration, then, moving along, am I correct to assume that the administration, in an ideal world, that's looking forward in the future, this would be the last time we would be doing such a contract for PIN's children, at least, if things go the way they are apparently being planned, but we can't talk about right now?
Through you, Madam Chairwoman, that would be a matter that's before the state legislature, and you'd have to ask them.
Yep.
Well,
Thank you.
I don't often interact with the state legislature, sir.
And is any other discussion on this referral? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please. Thank you.
Referral 16-0144.
Moved by Legislator Ancel and seconded by Legislator Marionetti. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0145.
Moved by Legislator Marionetti and seconded by Legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Barath.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I did have a couple questions on this. I noticed that the funding, I'll start with simply, the funding, referral states that this year's funding represents a decrease of approximately $19,000 from last year. And through the chair of the administration, is that meaning over the 5-year prior grant, so $19,000 over 5 years decrease?
Yes, through the chair, it is a representation of $19,000 for each of the 5 years.
Thank you. And then through the chair of the administration, this grant is strictly for testing purposes, correct?
Through the chair, I'm sorry, I did not hear the question.
This grant funding is strictly for testing purposes, correct?
Through the chair, there is a portion of the grant that is used for testing services. That would be the contract amount for analytical testing laboratory services. But there are many other items that are funded through the grant.
Thank you. So if I'm correct, the contract amount for analytical testing is $33,000 per year through the correct, through the chair?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct.
Thank you. So through the chair of the administration, just so I'm clear, the 3 additional one-year extensions that might occur would only be for the contract amount with the analytical testing and nothing else, correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct.
Thank you. And if that's the case, through the chair of the administration, all these other things that you mentioned about that were being funded, what would happen without doing those one-year terms in that case? So the funding wouldn't be there for those purposes.
Through the chair, the 3-year term is in conjunction with the RFP term, but that funding would need to be available to do the testing throughout each year of the grant. So for all 5 years, there would need to be laboratory services provided, but the contract renewal is set for 3 years based on the RFP.
Okay, so through the chair to the administration, so I understand, just using a bit of math, the grant broken down over 5 years is about $38,000 a year, of which $33,000 goes towards testing, no more than that, leaving about $5,000 a year for the first 5 years. So through the chair of the administration, so I understand, we're putting aside $5,000 a year for things like administrative services, promotional materials, et cetera, and we'll use it over the course of 5 plus maybe 3 more years. Through the chair, is that correct?
Through the chair, no, the actual total amount over the 5 years is over $1 million. It's $372,904 per year for 5 years. It's a 5-year grant term.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0146.
Move it Legislator Hebert, second by Legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Through you to the administration, how exactly is it that, that the county sort of earns this $1.2 million that would be in this contract?
Through the chair, there are quarterly reports and there are benchmarks that have to be met, and as the participating programs meet benchmarks in the project areas and report on those benchmarks when the reports are due, they will then receive the incentive money that is connected with each of those benchmarks.
Thank you. For clarification's purposes, through you, Madam Chair, so essentially, if the employees at the community hospital use this system and file reports accurately and basically, I would just imagine, follow this program essentially to a T, then it is at that point that the county would receive money. So it's the county employees using the system, and then the system provider pays the county. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Through you to the administration, I assume then that the $1.2 million is not a guaranteed number, but rather based on usage. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, correct.
Thank you. And through the chair to the administration, any idea how much is that 1.2 essentially would be divided over 5 years? Is there an annual cap number that we would receive?
Through the chair, the way the district program is set up to be funded, picture a bell curve. Year 1, there is a smaller amount of money. Year 2, it's a little bit more. Year 3 is the maximum amount of money, and then it drops off in year 4 and drops off again in year 5.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, are there other companies that have reached out to the county to provide this type of service and incentive payment program?
Through the chair, this is the organization that has been designated, whose application was accepted by New York State for our region. So it is the only funding resource for us to obtain DSRIP money.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0147.
Moved by Legislator Carbone and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chairwoman, to the administration. Certainly this is a little troubling. Could you explain exactly what happened here, that these tax bills essentially were incorrect?
through the chair, I mean, a specific tax bill or all of them? I mean, I guess, you know.
What, through you, Madam Chairman, to the administration, it looks like we overbilled to the tune of almost $300,000. How exactly does that happen?
Well, through the chair, you know, these, most of these are Pure Water's errors. The majority of those are errors from the town of Arundequoit, because they control putting the number of units on the assessment file that creates the tax file. So we don't have any control over, you know, what they enter onto the file, and they're discovered, you know, once a property owner gets a tax bill that, you know, I shouldn't be paid, you know, shouldn't be paying $15,000 in sewer charges.
Gotcha. Through you, so this is actually an issue, the clerical error was made by the individual towns and the city in this case. It wasn't done by the county.
In the case of the Arundequoit ones, it would have been done by the, you know, by the town, because it was town sewer charges. There are a couple on here that were Rochester Pure Waters District, which would be, you know, a county error. The one for the town of Clarkson was a seizure by the federal government, and once we were notified of the seizure, the federal government becomes exempt, you know, at the time of transfer, and, you know, because they're not timely in letting us know that they've seized something, you know, bills, you know, are generated. They're liable for any taxes that were posted prior to the seizure date. So everything that was owed on this particular property wasn't canceled. The prior years, they still have to, you know, pay, and they have paid. On the city school district, you know, a portion of that bill was supposed to be billed to the city of Rochester and not the city school district. So an individual bill, you know, went directly from the Pure Waters group to the city. So you know, the money is recouped. It just was, you know, in error to who it was charged to.
Through you, what happened in Parrington and in Gates?
In Parrington, it had to do with school tax payments being posted to the file. So a payment came in and wasn't posted, you know, to the system, and therefore, even though it was received timely and they provided proof that it was received timely, you know, it was re-levied onto the county bill. So the only thing that we're canceling there are the re-levy penalties, and they have to pay the school tax.
And then in Gates?
In Gates, that was an error by the Pure Waters District. Part of the charges belong actually to the district and not to the diocese.
And through you to the administration, this is, in some cases then, based on your explanation, in some cases it's money we've already collected that we're refunding, and in other cases it's money that hasn't been collected and will now, they have the correct bill. Is that correct?
In all of the cases that are on this first referral, we have not collected anything, but we will be collecting, in the case of the city school district, the whole amount. In the case of the second one, the Rochester Pure Waters District, it should have been billed to Costco. A separate bill went to Costco. They've already paid. You know, the handwritten bill. Clarkson, it's just going to get, you know, it'll get canceled, and some of it will be re-levied to the towns and the special districts of what is being canceled. The Gates, that will be paid by the Rochester Pure Waters District. Arundequoit, that's just their money that they won't get. In Parrington, the re-levy charges, the county won't get those. Those just get canceled.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Legislator Hebert.
Through the chair to the administration, is it my understanding that then the receiver of the bills are the ones that identified these 12 problems?
Typically, that's what happens, because they'll get, a very large bill that they didn't get previously. And then they question why, and then either through my research or the municipality's research, they identify what was overcharged.
Through the chair to the administration, given that it's the receiver of the bill that's identifying the problems, what confidence level do we have that there aren't a lot more of these kinds of problems that might be smaller and not picked up by the homeowner or the recipient of the bill?
I have a very high confidence level that billings are done correctly. Interestingly enough, property owners are scrutinize their bills quite well. So therefore, we have people that call because their bill was $50 or $20 higher than they had calculated it to be, because there are I would say that the older population that's more diligent in looking at their bills and calculating what they think they're going to be before they get them, and then they'll call. So we do over 200,000 bills a year, and town and county bills, and we probably have 250 to 300 corrections out of that 200,000. So it's a very small percentage.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Legislator Baroff.
I note that the administration expressed a great deal of confidence in the accuracy of the bills out there, and I don't have any particular reason to doubt that. My only question through the chair of the administration is, has the county ever performed an audit on this to check the veracity of these bills, so we don't always rely upon the homeowners? Because through the chair of the administration, I'd point out to you that quite a few people don't pay attention to their tax bills as much as we might think they do. It goes into an escrow account, it gets paid, they look at it once a year, maybe. So my question is, has the administration ever done an audit to check the veracity of the bills, not relying upon the homeowners' complaints?
Through the chair, we don't do an audit. The state controller's office, audits, tax levies every year. I have to say that, when my office is preparing the tax levy, we're looking at, all of the levies that are out there, and, looking at it, year after year, we can see if there's a significant difference in a levy of a specific district, or a huge decrease, and we can reach out before we actually bring the levy in front of the legislature to try and make sure that it's as accurate as possible.
Thank you. And just to be clear, to the chair of the administration, I was just thinking along the lines of what Ronald Reagan used to say, which was literally trust but verify. And I think it's a useful thing to verify. So my final question through the chair of the administration would be, do you know when the last time the state controller's office audited Monroe County?
Every year.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 16-0148.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty and seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion on this? This is the refunds
Correct.
on this. Any? Hopefully not. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you. Next item.
Referral 16-0149.
Moved by Legislator Rocco and seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Is there any other business to come before this committee? I think, seeing none. There are no other matters. The April 26th meeting, the Ways and Means, will stand adjourned. The next meeting is Tuesday, May 24th at 6 p.m. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.